Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back right here to Pillar to Post. And if you weren't watching tonight what I was, well, you missed some good wrestling. Simple as that. Good wrestling. We're going to start this off with a little bit of NWA Power. Now, excuse me, I enjoyed the show for the most part. I'm going to say that right off. It's like I said earlier on, it's a throwback to the days of old, but has that new flair. The shows, yes, they are a bit short. They're an hour long. The matches, a bit short in my opinion. Things happen too quickly in those short periods, and the story kind of gets lost in it all. But what they are doing with NWA Power, I think, is giving us a taste of what's to come, and giving us a little bit of insight to the way that NWA will be working from here on out, and that part of it I love. We got to see Trevor Murdoch tonight taking on Josephus. Now, Josephus was reportedly suspended for 45 days due to using the old powder in the trunks bit and throwing it into Colt Cabana's eyes. Trevor Murdoch, however, begged management to not suspend Josephus and prove himself that he was worthy of a contract with NWA. I've always been a fan of Trevor Murdoch. He's a throwback to the days of Dick Murdoch and all those bruiser type guys, Bruiser Brody, and hell, you know, his mentor, his teacher, none other than Harley Race. You know, so there's a lot of experience with a guy like Trevor Murdoch. Now the match started off with Josephus, who, you know, is another throwback kind of wrestler. You know, he's got that big pop belly, the scruffy hair, the big scruffy beard, and you know, just that old school heel mentality. And he's got you know, he's got this way of talking that makes you want to slap a guy like him. And you know, the match started off with an attack from behind, Trevor Murdoch being thrown into the ring post. From there, got brought into the ring after a bit, and you know, Trevor Murdoch started turning things around momentarily, and then Josephus was able to turn the tables and try to use the old powder in the crotch scenario all over again. Did not work in his favor though. Trevor Murdoch kicked the bag out of his hands. It ended up in Josephus's face, and was able to get the bulldog off the middle rope. Bada bing, bada boom. All said and done, Trevor Murdoch gets his first win in NWA Power. Like I said, the matches are very quick. They're very fast paced once they start moving, because they're working within a 1 hour time frame, and they want to get in as much as they can on this 1 hour that they have and that they use here on YouTube. Like I said, it's great to see Trevor Murdoch back in the ring. I always thought he was overlooked as a talent in WWE. You know, good to see him in a company like NWA that has that throwback atmosphere where guys like him make sense. You know, say what you will about the guy. He's big, he's ugly, he's, you know, whatever it is, you know. But the guy really brings something to the table when it comes to NWA, and for that I like seeing. That was our opening bout, and as always, you know, it started off with Trevor Murdoch getting interviewed. Josephus would come out later to accept the challenge, and that's what I like about the NWA atmosphere. You know, it's that you get that real sense of the NWA, and it hasn't been twisted or morphed into something that it's not. Now, it's not to say that they can't, you know, take a step into the modern era and update things. I think it would work, but for what they're doing right now, I think it's a good standing to use the kind of practice that they are using right now. For the opening bout, it was a good bout. It was a good way to get the atmosphere going and the fans going. You know, they're a noisy lot in the studio, and they enjoyed what they seen, as did I. So, you know, like, what a way to go. Now, I am going to have to periodically put my glasses on because I've got to make sure I can read my own damn notes. So, up next, we had a no disqualification match. The Dawsons, two big, burly men, taking on Eddie Kingston and Homicide. And if you guys don't know who Homicide is, get out of your basement for a little bit. Watch some wrestling, okay? Now, this all came about because interference in the last episode of Power, where Eddie Kingston, the Dawsons attacked Kingston and Homicide, or it could have been the other way around. My memory's foggy as hell. Try not to swear here. So this was a return bout, a little bit of a revenge match, and Eddie Kingston and Homicide came out attacking the Dawsons right off the hop. Went all over the floor, went all over the ring. Great stuff that went down in this match. A lot of hard hitting maneuvers. A lot of brawling. Eddie Kingston basically taken care of really quickly by one of the Dawsons. I can't remember their names. They're two big guys. One's long hair, one's bald. But when it comes to a fight, I think they did this really well. And it was supposed to be a fight. It was supposed to be a brawl. And in goes, chairs were brought in, and Eddie Kingston was hampered when he tried to backhand one of the Dawsons and ended up chopping the ring post. After that debilitating slap against the ring post, then he was basically just pretty well taken care of. The direction of the Dawsons were to take care of that hand, keep on injuring it, keep on hampering his ability to fight. Homicide looks good, as always. You know, when it comes to this kind of like street fight mentality, none do it better too often than a guy like Homicide. The guy is straight up thug, you know, so he handled his own, but finally taken out for a bit. And the tables looked like they were going in the favor of the Dawsons. And lo and behold, the NWA Tag Team Champions come out. And what I thought was weird, I thought they were going to go for, you know, take out the Dawsons, but it turns around that they took a Homicide in Kingston and then dragged the one of the Dawsons over to cover. I believe it was Kingston that got covered, and so I believe it is the Dawsons that will be the number one contenders now for the NWA Tag Team Championships. The Tag Team Champions, they look good. I've seen them a couple of times now. They look good, and enjoyed the match. It was a brawl. Enjoyed the brawl. It was straight out what it was supposed to be. They delivered, and they made it interesting. They made it exciting. The fans loved it in the studio. I loved it at home. You can't complain too much about that. Moving on, though. It was Ashley Vox going up against Marty Bell. Now, Marty Bell is pretty good friends with the current women's champion of NWA. And, what's her name? K. I'm learning some of these names because I've seen them before, but I haven't watched too much of them. Basically, the women's champion comes out and lets both women know they need to prove themselves because, one, Marty Bell has, could be good close friends with her, but she has yet to prove herself, whereas her opponent in Ashley Vox has already competed against her and lost. So she really needed to pick up her game and show something else and prove herself as well. For the most part, you know, the match kind of seemed off a little bit. You know, both women seemed like they were out of tune, out of sync. You know, it just didn't come off as exciting in any kind of way. Not going to discredit any of their abilities or how much time they've spent in the ring and doing what they do. It's just, it looked like they weren't synchronized. They weren't working well together, and I think they kind of lost some of the energy from the fans because of that. This is just my opinion, folks. You know, some good moves performed in that match. Not gonna say there wasn't, but even when those moves were hit, it looked like it was just out of sync. So it wasn't my favorite match when it comes to a women's match. You know, both, you know, beautiful women, both talented, but like I said, they just looked out of sync. And for that, I think some of the energy was lost. Ricky Starks versus Aaron Stevens. Aaron Stevens, you haven't seen him since his days in WWE or TNA. You know, I've always liked Aaron Stevens, but, you know, this comedic heel route he's chosen to go, I don't know, man. It just, I see such talent in this guy, and when he gets vicious, he gets real vicious in that ring, and it's good to see. But he came out to promote another clip of his movie, which is basically a fictional movie. And Ricky Starks comes out, basically wants him to kiss his hand. After refusing to do so, Aaron Stevens gets slapped across the face, scurries against the, to the far side. It is then determined that they will meet in the ring, and it was a pretty good match. Aaron Stevens showed his vicious side like he's prone to do, and it's always top notch when this guy gets rolling. But it was Ricky Starks that would pull off the victory in the end, and a big victory for Ricky Starks. That's 2 in a row for him here on NWA Power. Ricky Starks took out Trevor Murdoch last week, I believe it was, and he surprised and made another upset. And I gotta call it an upset because I have no idea who Ricky Starks is. He's very talented. He loves doing the flips in the ring. He loves high flying. He's got a lot of energy. But Aaron Stevens has that experience in the ring. He's got that tenacious side, and he's not afraid to break the rules. And we've seen that in this match where, he crotched Ricky Starks on the ropes, and then just went nuts on him, just stomped a mud hole right through this guy. Still couldn't pick up the victory, and in the end, Ricky Starks made the upset, in my opinion. Now, this leads us into the main event. Now, this basically started off the show. We had, we had James Storm come out at the top of the show and basically said he was tired of Nick Aldis ducking him. He is the Northern Champion in NWA, and feels that he deserves a shot at the world title because the Northern title is supposed to be that stepping stone to get you to that level and face the champion. We ended up getting Colt Cabana out there, who thinks he's been slighted and says he is the true Northern Champion of NWA, and demands that he gets his rematch against James Storm. James Storm basically straight up says, you don't deserve it, it's my title, blah, blah, blah. Out comes excuse me, I had his name right here. And my notes don't have his name, for crying out loud. I don't know, I understand why. Eli Drake, there we go. Eli Drake comes out. And one thing I've noticed in NWA, Eli Drake likes to play both sides. You know, no one can really tell if he's coming or going. And, you know, he gave a little bit of an interview on YouTube about that as well. You know, he likes to keep it that way. He wants people to keep on thinking. And he's playing two sides, and out comes Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis basically, you know, says that Eli Drake is, you know, wanting to be him. James Storm doesn't deserve a title. He's basically inebriated half the time, can't remember what he's talking about to begin with. So why would he put his title on the line? It's determined after a little bit that it's going to be a 6-man tag team match for the main event of tonight's show. Under the stipulation that if Nick Aldis' team takes the win, then Colt Cabana gets his rematch against James Storm for his title. On the other hand, however, if James Storm's team wins, then James Storm gets a shot at the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, there is another stipulation brought in by Nick Aldis that if James Storm happens to win, he has to give up the Northern Heavyweight, or the Northern title, so that way he has everything to lose if he faces the NWA champion. And I keep on saying Northern champion. I mean the national champion, the NWA national champion. And I do apologize for that. I believe it used to be called the North American Championship way back in the day, but I guess it is the NWA National Championship. So it ends up being Nick Aldis teaming up with Colt Cabana and none other than Ken Anderson, who we seen make his debut last week on Power. And they would face James Storm, Royce Isaacs, and Thomas Latimer, who we seen earlier in the night, help in the no disqualification tag team against the Dawsons. They were the key to bring the Dawsons the win over Eddie Kingston and Homicide. They are your NWA tag team champions. They look good. They look tough. Here's another match though where some parts seemed off. It was exciting. It was good. A lot of commotion. A lot of exchanges. Some parts fell a bit off. It was like they were waiting for each other to do their moves sometimes. And wrestling should never look like that. It should always look like it's happening and it's going, and it should be smooth. There are some times where it's not quite so smooth. Now things get a little bit hairy when it's a 6-man match, especially when you've got like guys running in and interference and pin breaks, and then you've got the 3-on-3 atmosphere where they're all inside the ring, they're all getting their asses kicked. In the end, though, Nick Aldis' team taking the win was the end of James Storm getting his title match against Nick Aldis. Colt Cabana gets his national championship rematch against James Storm by taking the win with a, I can't remember what kind of pin he called it, but, you know, all around good show. I ain't gonna shit over it too much. You know, there, like I said, I'm gonna point out some things I did notice. These are my opinions, but NWA brings that atmosphere where it's wrestling, you know, and that's what a lot of people are missing. That's why a lot of people are tuning in. That's why a lot of people are loving what Billy Corgan is doing with NWA. And if you don't like it, well, go back to WWE and watch what they're doing, and believe me, you know, it's cringe. My overall thoughts, you guys heard them, you know, very enjoyable show. It's nice to sit back and kind of get that feeling like you're being drawn back into the past a bit, but with new faces that you know, experienced talent, as well as up and coming superstars. and they keep that traditional atmosphere about it. There's no music, there's no pyro, and it's just, we're ready to go. Strap one on and let's go for a ride. And they take us for that ride each and every show I've watched. Take away the cons, you know, it is a really good show to watch. You want to check that out. It's being broadcast on Facebook. It's being broadcast on YouTube here. It's an hour at 6 o'clock Eastern time here in Canada. I don't know what it's like in the States or other provinces, but you want to get that sense of traditional wrestling. NWA is definitely a watch, and you're not going to be disappointed in that at all. Now, as for AEW Dark, it is for an hour, like it is like for Power. It's pre-recorded. It is from last week's show up in Pittsburgh, and you know, it's just letting you see what didn't get shown on AEW Dynamite. They're still at, like I said, it happened up in Pittsburgh. They're at the Peterson Event Center, and you know, it started off right away with Dustin Rhodes and Sonny Kiss teaming up against Peter Avalon and QT Marshall. Now, if you don't know who QT Marshall is, you've seen him in a lot of the skits on Being the Elite. He's a guy that's always got an apple in his hand, always taking a bite out of an apple. Last week it was revealed that he is a wrestler. He was out on injury for quite a while, rehabbing his neck, and also being a teacher, teaching a lot of the new up-and-coming superstars. And it was announced that he would be teaming up with Peter Avalon, the librarian. You know, I still haven't clicked on the whole librarian gimmick. It really, I think it is what it is. It's to annoy the fans, to, you know, a little bit of cheap heat. And I think that's the only way this guy would actually get any heat. You know, he kind of, you know, just, he started to come off like the Barry Horowitz of AEW, and it's a guy anyone would love to smack around. He does have some good moves. He does wrestle well. He's fast in that ring. He plays dirty. QT Marshall, we've seen a dirty side of him tonight as well, and it was his debut match. Now, Dustin Rhodes and Sonny Kiss, though, they ended up coming out and very color coordinated. Sonny Kiss seemed like he was basically getting dressed up to mimic Dustin Rhodes. I'm going to say this right now about Dustin Rhodes. It is good to see him at AEW. He still has a lot of talent in him, and he still has so much to give to the business, even at his age. And even if he only wrestles for about a year here in AEW, but is brought in as a trainer and a mentor to some of these young superstars of AEW, the guy has got a future here. He's got so much to give, and they work well together. Sonny Kiss, very fast, very flighty, looks good in the ring. We've seen some interference by the other librarian. I'm losing her name at the moment, and I really don't care. She got blue friggin' hair and does the shh bullshit just the same as Peter Avalon. But yeah, definitely got herself involved a couple of times, holding the boot of Sonny Kiss, which enabled Peter Avalon to give him a huge boot right in the face. Fell flat right on the apron, laid him out real good. And QT Marshall, like I said, you know, he's got talent. They did really well together. But in the end, it was Dustin Rhodes and Sonny Kiss that would take the win. And I do apologize for constantly saying she instead of he. It is a mistake. But really talented is Sonny Kiss as well as Peter Avalon and QT Marshall. It was a nice way to open up the show. Shows the dexterity of some of these wrestlers, how well they work or work together with others. And Peter Avalon and QT Marshall, they worked really well. They strategized in that ring. They tried doing what they could to cut off Sonny Kiss from Dustin Rhodes, even so far as to trap Sonny Kiss in a chinlock where he was doing the splits. Had to have hurt like hell, but looked really good. Dustin Rhodes would pick up the win and sign the deal on their victory. There's only 3 matches tonight, but we had the tag team match start off the show. Then we moved over to a fatal 4-way for the women's division, and then a Falls Count Anywhere 3-way match for the main event. Up next, like I said, it was Emi Sakura, Ali, Penelope Ford, who debuted tonight, as well as Sadie Gibbs. Now, when Penelope Ford and Sadie Gibbs stepped out on the stage, I was excited because I've heard a lot about Sadie Gibbs. I haven't heard anything about Penelope Cruz, but damn, she looked fine. But then, all 3 blondes did. Started off, I don't know, it started off with a 4-way collar and elbow. I thought that was a bit strange. Then went into a mercy fight, test of strength, as they call it in wrestling. A 4-way, see who would overpower who, and it looked like Sadie Gibbs was going to be the one to overpower. And they ganged up on her, and then turned it into some cheerleader pose. A little bit too campy, too playful. Just to me, it kind of fell flat a little bit. Some good stuff happened in this match, but like I said, there was a lot of gimmicky stuff. And to me, I would like to see a lot more of the women's division. I don't want to see happy and playful and shit like that. I want to see wrestling, and I want to see these women go like I know they can. Like I've heard some of them can go. Ali, a Toronto girl, looks good in the ring, looks good on camera. Same with Penelope Ford and Sadie Gibbs. Emi Sakura, native from Japan, and an ass kicker, the eldest out of all the women here, did very well. But like I said, very playful, very gimmicky in some parts, and to me, it's a lot of wasted time, where you could be doing something to elevate the match a little bit. The fans seem to have had her back, though, so, no disputing the woman can go. It just, some of the stuff that went in this match, it just took away from the match, and I think it could have been a lot better. Ali, like I said, looked good. Sadie Gibbs looked good, but like I said about the NWA women's matches, as well as the 6-man tag, it looked as if some spots were off. They were waiting for the other person to do their move, or kind of forgot what they were going to do, so they had to change things up quickly. In the end, though, Emi Sakura takes up her first win here in AEW Dark. Very important win for her because she is the older woman of the group and needed that win. But what I seen of that match, the one that I thought did more than everyone else was Ali. Penelope and Sadie Gibbs did great things in that ring. The cartwheel and flip and clotheslines in the corner that, in stereo looked really good. Sadie Gibbs, a very powerful woman, and at her age, as well as the limited experience she does have in the ring, she looks really good. I think we could see better, though, from the women's division of AEW, though. I think they need to tone down some of the gimmicky crap and let these women go a bit, It's just my opinion. Still a great view from this part. I was watching. I didn't want to tune away. It's just things I noticed and things I thought needed work. Our main event of the night, Falls Count Anywhere 3-way match. Darby Allin taking on Jack Evans and Jimmy Havoc. Jimmy Havoc from England, tough as nails, hardcore. Jack Evans can prove he can go hardcore. He showed that in Lucha Underground. And Darby Allin, we've seen him in some fantastic matches already. Bar none my favorite, and got me hooked on Darby Allin as a fan was his match against Chris Jericho. He really showed a lot in that match, and he showed he can do more than just hardcore. This went right to the stands, through the fans, looked good, a lot of high flying, a lot of risk taking, but that's what these guys do. Like I said earlier, I think some of it could be taken down a bit, tune it down just a notch. This could have been more brawlistic and you know, could have shown your violence there. Some very big high spots though. You know, Jack Evans flying off the stage, cannonball-esque move, taking both men out. Suplexes on the ramp, you know, inverted suplex, finally taking out Jack Evans on the ramp. But in the end, in fantastic form, the coffin drop with a chair by Darby Allin takes the win. Hits both Jack Evans and Jimmy Havoc. Jimmy Havoc was going for the pin on Evans in the final moments of this match, and a lot of people thought this was going to a time limit draw. But Darby Allin breaking that pinfall, taking out Jimmy Havoc, and then pinning Jack Evans spot on. I'm glad they didn't have Darby lose, because it would have taken away his match that he had with Chris Jericho last week. And I don't think it's time to do that yet. This guy has the fans behind him. He's got the excitement behind him. Not to say Jack Evans and Jimmy Havoc can't move and go. It's just, I think Darby Allin really stepped it up in his match against Chris Jericho, and he deserves that push right now. And to have him lose would have taken away from that. Another great show, another great show by AEW Dark. Like I said, there are some things, you know, even the Dustin Rhodes Sonny Kiss match against the Librarian and QT. There were some things that just were a little bit off, and I think that'll get better. Like, a lot of these people have never worked together. A lot of these people have never tagged with each other, and there's going to be spots where it's like that. It's not like watching WWE, where so much of it just doesn't make sense that you lose interest in watching this. It kind of made sense in the end. Like, the main event definitely made sense. I know they're looking to see who's going to step up and face the women's champion of AEW, Fatal 4-Way. Emi Sakura being the mentor, the teacher of the AEW women's champion. It makes sense to have her take a win and get closer to facing the champion. Not to say she will yet. I'd still love to see Britt Baker go and see Britt wear that title, because to me, she just has that energy about her. And one thing I've got to say about the whole Allie character, the way she comes out, if anyone remembers the way Emma came out in WWE, now it's not the stupid song and it's not the stupid hands, but it's very reminiscent of that, you know, big smiles and kind of playful and kiddie-ish. Okay, I get it, she's Canadian. I get it. Okay, I get your Canadian Allie. But we're not all happy and we're not all nice, okay? It's not like that. You know, it's just me, you know? It's like, but what I do like, though, is once she's in that ring, she goes and she brings it hard and she strikes hard, and it looks good in that ring, what she does. And so for that aspect, I think it makes sense. She comes out all happy and bubbly and stuff, but once she's in that ring, the game's on, and she's there to do business. overall, a great night of 2 hours of wrestling. NWA Power, AEW Dark, right here on YouTube. Very enjoyable views on both sides. Like I said, you know, the throwback of NWA, the new of AEW, what they're doing. Yes, things can change on both sides, but both are doing really, really good. They are getting the fans excited for wrestling again. NWA, pro wrestling at its finest. AEW, proven to be the future of the wrestling industry. You got two sides of the coin, man, and you put those together, you got a great night of wrestling. You want to tune in here on YouTube or Facebook. I don't know about AEW Dark if it's being broadcast on Facebook. I do know NWA Power is, and as well as here on YouTube, man. Tune in. These 2 hours was good for me. I didn't turn away. I didn't walk away. I stayed right with it. And to see Tony Schiavone doing what he does best, as well as hearing Jim Ross, I would have liked to have heard Taz again for AEW Dark, but they did say that they would bring in guests and stuff like that for AEW Dark. But overall, great atmosphere, great feel, great wrestling, and that is the review for tonight's shows. NWA Power, AEW Dark. Don't miss it next week. Tomorrow night, it is AEW Dynamite. And you got some big things going down. So make sure you're tuned into that. And we'll see you tomorrow night with another review. Now, I'm a little bit rusty with these reviews, and I'll take better notes and stuff for the next show. But I'm getting back into it, folks. So ease into me a little bit and let me ease back into this role. And you know, with what's going on with 2K20, I've kind of lost some steam going into that. So I'm waiting for the patches to start coming down, the fixes to start coming, hoping they come soon, and we can start enjoying some wrestling, gaming. But you know, for now, it's this, and I'll be doing some 2K19 shows in the very near future. But stay tuned for Pillar to Post tomorrow night with some AEW Dynamite. I'm out of here for now. Have a good night. Always have a better tomorrow, or the bully is coming to get you.